Good afternoon. This is Marco. We are recording another episode of the Propeller podcast, an amazing podcast dedicated to a fantastic UAE-based startups and brands that are able to scale abroad and leverage mega trends. And today we have a fantastic pop brand, I call it in this way. And why pop is actually part of their name, brand name, is and it is House of Pops. We have Mazen with us, that is the founder, co-founder and CEO of the company. Good afternoon, Mazen, how are you?
Hello, good afternoon, I'm fine. How are you, Marco?
Oh, great, thanks a lot. Thank you for being with me today. I know that you have a very busy schedule. You have a lot of interesting things about House of Pops. We'll discuss later, but let's start actually by the fun part of the brands. House of Pops is a lollies brand first. It's a food company, of course, FMCG, based in Dubai. Mazen, apart from, of course, thank you to be with us. Can you give us a little bit of introduction of House of Pops and what you stand for?
Yeah, of course. So House of Pops is very straightforward. We offer 100% natural ice lollies. Yeah, they are 100% natural. We don't use any preservatives, any coloring. We don't use any additional flavors. So all the flavor you get from the product itself. We don't use refined sugar as well. We sweeten with agave, which is a plant coming from Mexico. It has low glycemic index, so it does not spike the sugar level in your blood. Also, our pops are not only pure and natural by just for the sake of being natural, but they are also good for you. So we have high content of fruits. It can reach up to 90%. They are rich in fibers, which make them functional. After the pandemic, there is a lot of concern about what am I consuming. So fibers is something highly in demand. And also, it's important to note that we are 100% plant-based. Yeah, we're vegan, plant-based. We don't use any dairy in our pops. And also what we call clean label. Clean label, simply put, meaning that if a 7-year-old kid reads the ingredients, he would understand. For example, in mango, we have natural mango, vegetable fibers, water, organic agave, and a dash of lime juice. So no E-numbers, nothing that you would not understand, artificial ethylene, vanillin, all those kind of things that you cannot pronounce, you would not find them. And the last part, we are strongly committed to a healthy environment. We have a strong sustainability agenda, and we are the first ice cream lollies to be plastic-free. So our wrap is not made of plastic, it's made from plant-based starch, so it's compostable and environmentally friendly. So this is in summary about the product. I mean, if there are other areas I can elaborate during the discussion.
Fantastic, Mazen. Thanks a lot. When I think about lollies, I think about childhood and summer and very happy memories. Your mission is sharing happiness. I got to know, of course, for your products, tasting it, they're really amazing. But I would like to make a step back and talk about a little bit of Mazen. You, of course, as a professional, where you started your career and how you founded House of Pops.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Lebanese originally. Okay, I studied economics in Lebanon. Nothing much to do with what I'm doing. Actually, it does give you a way of thinking. It structures your mind. So this is really good for anything you want to do in life. But otherwise, after I finished university, I started working with an amazing company called Unilever. I worked with them for around 13 years. And then the last 6 years, they were focused on ice cream. I worked initially in Saudi Arabia, but then I moved to Turkey where I started working on ice cream, in brand development, brand building, developing new products, developing communication. And then I came to Dubai, and I was handling the ice cream business in North Africa and Middle East. And this is where I started finding a gap for something which is healthy and tasty at the same time. Yeah, because if you go to the supermarket, you will see a lot of brands in the snacking segment, like the keto bars, the protein bars. They are everywhere. But once you go to the ice cream, you still find, the usual unhealthy, high-fat ice cream. So I thought definitely there is a gap in the market. So together with my partner, Marcella, who's my partner in life as well, we're going to get married in a couple of months. So we started to, we thought, let's launch. There is a gap and people would appreciate this product. And we opened a small factory and then things developed.
Fantastic. Beautiful story of love, and we said also happiness. So spreading happiness, not sharing happiness, is definitely the type of House of Pops. So you started from Unilever. There is of course, a mammoth in the ice cream category. You get to know the inside out of the business, and then you saw a gap opportunity. I believe in the work that I do supporting startups in the first stages, that sometimes the step of validation, that means the validation of the product, beyond having the idea, is the one that most companies actually they skip completely. They jump directly to the product. Your product seems designed holistically, from the branding to the product itself, very crafted in a way to meet perfectly demand that is apparent. Can you share with me what has been actually the moment of validation for your product? Have you done the traditional consumer groups, you share it within your friends, or you had already all the insight ready to prepare for you and for House of Pops?
Yeah, actually, so there was a validation from the concept. We visited a couple of hotels and shared with them products that we have which we did not have. So we did some kind of things like that to see if there is demand for something in the market. This is number one. Number two, especially those hotels that had pool, and beach access. Then we started doing trials at home. We got a small machine that can freeze in half an hour, 3 puffs, something for testing. So like the usual thing. I read a very interesting book called The Lean Startup, and I think it was a very good book, and from another one from 0 to 1. And then so those 2 books that I read really shaped my way of thinking, talking about the product, the validation, the hypothesis, etc. But also at the same time, I had saved a bit of money, so I didn't really needed to go very, very cheap on everything I did. So I invested a bit of money to create a brand identity. I went to Al-Kuwain, where they offered very competitive packages for startups, even for manufacturing. And we got a small warehouse around 100 square meters, where we got some, it's interesting, the machinery from China. It costed me, the first machinery to produce $3,000, $1,500 for the price of the machinery, $1,500 to ship them, and those were enough. There was like a place where you can do 24 every half an hour, and then a place to, you take it and then you release it, and then you would pack it in an automatic sealer. So this is how I started. I needed to have a company in place, so we started, with this machinery. The warehouse was very big. I mean, at that time, 100 square meters was very big, and in order to get some approval, there should be a ceiling to cover the production. And we didn't really want to invest before, proving this. So then we did the kitchen inside the office. In the warehouse, there is a big warehouse and there is an office. So we started in the office. The office was the factory, and the factory was the office. So those were like, I think, a lot of startups would share the same moment. I have left Dubai, and I took a small studio in Al-Kuwain, where I spent around 4 or 5 months until everything was up and running. And this is how we started. We started cooking together with Marcella, my partner. And then we started with the Right Market. They have a market every Saturday in Times Square, or Saturday, Friday or Saturday. So this is where we started. We got 1 bike. So then we manufactured, we shipped there. The truck was waiting downstairs, which we rented it, holding the stock. And then the first day was, this is the first time where we started selling, and we did really well. I remember until 12 o'clock, we didn't sell anything. And we said, okay, 15, okay, it's not the right thing, because from 9 till 12, nothing. And then from 12 to 3, we sold like 2,000 dirhams. And we couldn't believe, like, we said, like, it was like completely, and this is how it started growing from there.
Amazing. I can see how your eyes actually shine talking about these times, the early days, of course, of the company, and how far you came. Now House of Pops and the very colorful stall of House of Pops, actually they're present in all most iconic places of Dubai in particular, of course, because I live here in Dubai, and they're really in the very iconic places. So fantastic. I can see how the enthusiasm, brought you far, for you and Marcella. In it. Let's speak again about the megatrends. Said again, Propeller speaks about leveraging megatrends. There are many ideas now and share ideas about the food industry. Many define the food industry as broken, in particular the processing industries, and everyone talks about the crisis of food that is going to come in the next years. House of Pops, you mentioned many of the features of your product seems to try to answer to this concern about the food industry, presenting a product that is first of all natural, so that they try to develop, of course, insert itself within a healthy and more clean eating habits for the consumer, and sustainable, of course, understanding the impact in a broad sense of the product before even bringing it to the consumer. And understanding how these two dimensions of the product can be better for the consumer. I would like to talk in a broader sense regarding the industry, value chain from production up to distribution. When you launched the product, which barrier did you face to launch a completely new product that would be sustainable, be natural, so completely different from what present already on the market? Did you feel any or face any resistance?
Actually, the product has evolved through the time, and also the way we launched it. We wanted to launch not in the trade. We wanted to go and be in facing the consumer, so that they get really the feedback from them. So if you launch it, you put it in a supermarket, you would not know how people would interact. So we're very keen. By the way, we spent 4 years before entering into the trade, because the last thing is you put it on the shelf where it will be lost within a plethora of other things. But initially we were very keen that Marcella and myself be always on the bike, handing over, listening to their feedback, etc. So initially we did not, for example, have any compostable packaging, and we were not using agave, we were using brown sugar, organic cane sugar, sorry, not brown sugar, cane sugar. Organic cane sugar, which is better, but to a certain extent. And then one lady came and said, you know what, it's great that you are not using like sugar, but I prefer if you use sugar but don't use plastic because you are polluting. And
was a consumer.
Like, she has a point. She has a point, and that was 4 years ago. We said, okay, how can we get? Then it was very difficult to source it, very difficult. Like availability is a big thing. We went to Italy to get it, and even when we got this material, you need to find the proper machine to wrap it, because we use a horizontal flow wrap. It is different than the plastic, the texture, and therefore we found a lot of issues in
the packaging,
in cutting the packaging. So that was a lot, and it's very expensive, and you ship it all the way from Italy. And by the way, this shipment is only for us. This is a huge company that sells here, but no one takes it, only us. So they ship from Italy to us. So imagine how expensive that is. So this is number one. Number two, in terms of the natural ingredients, of course, this is, from the fruits you can find them easy because you can get fresh fruit from the thing. But for example, the organic agave, we get it also from Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So we go a bit the extra mile to make sure that, we can, we get the final product together. The price, of course, is very expensive. Like agave, I think, is like 4 times more expensive than sugar. The plastic that you or the plastic that is available in the market is around 3 to 4 times cheaper than the compostable BOPLA that we are using. So those kind of things. Even we go to the extent of trying to see if we can get the freezers that we deploy having the gas which is more friendly. So what we say, sometimes we cannot really have from end to end everything, the entire supply chain as we wanted. But at every step, if there is a solution, we take it.
Amazing.
So this is our commitment. Whatever is available, we would take it. But it's not available, we will not, we will take whatever the best solution available.
Of course, and build it. And so your solution and your value chain that you built, of course, through grinding, will be the blueprint for the next companies that will follow. We try to follow the traces of House of Pops. That's amazing. I would like to discuss with you another very interesting point regards the distribution strategy of House of Pops. You mentioned that it took some time before you realized that, for example, going into traditional trade and retail will be another dimension of growth for House of Pops. You see many of the stalls around the city in Dubai, and I'm sure, of course, now in other countries. What is the distribution strategy? Sometimes it's called omnichannel. Would you share something about it?
Of course. So we took things step by step and in the right order. So initially we were doing just those kind of events. When we go, we are directly facing. And Bright Market, I think we should give credit to them. They always open a window for all the startups that they can come and start with them. And we are always committed to them. Whatever event they do, profitable, not profitable, we sign. Tell us. You helped us in the beginning. We are always with them. And still we do wonders, like the event in Academy Park, in Police Academy, is very, very impressive. Anyway, so we started with the event initially. And then we moved into online, because online is not an expensive channel, at least it's not CapEx intensive, through aggregators, through our own channel. So those we started with doing online. And then we got some requests for catering, birthdays, whatever, we were sending the bike there. Then after, we opened our own shop in Kite Beach. That was around 3 years ago. We had one location. And then we started delivering to hotels and to cafes and restaurants, the HoReCa channel. Okay? Because then there is a bit more demand. So then we move into more of the locations that people would be interested to consume something on premises. And then we also got approval for schools. We're the only ice cream here local that can sell into schools in Dubai. So we started selling into the schools. And then the last part was entering the trade, which we entered in Carrefour around 2 months ago. Because there, you need to have an established brand somehow established in order to ensure the pull. So that was in terms of the channel. How we forecast going forward. So we are putting a lot of emphasis on franchising. We developed now a franchising model. We have already sold, as you know, the franchise to Abu Dhabi, to Saudi Arabia. Before the end of the year, will be across the Gulf. And this is what will be the main route to market moving forward. It's a good, profitable way to run the business.
Amazing. I can really see House of Pops be a scalable brand beyond, of course, the GCC. We are speaking about an experience that is really remind you to the childhood, as I said at the start, but they connect basically everyone, any customer from any country. That's amazing. I visited, I think it was the start of the 2022, the Gulf Food event here in Dubai. There is actually one of the major global events for food, for the food industry. And House of Pops was one of the stalls that was actually one of the most crowded one across any industry. And I'm Italian, and of course the Italian industry for food, how always appreciated it is, but House of Pops was always the most crowded one. So it's fantastic. You've been able to connect something that recall the consumer to childhood and always be pleasant for it. And the listing in retail is one of the most challenging steps for any startups. As you said, you have always to have validation. Are you going to planning your step abroad in Saudi and in GCC, leveraging retail or you're approaching first other channels. You mentioned, for example, online franchising. How you're entering these markets?
So with these markets, we look for partners. Those partners could be distributors or could be franchisees. Distributor would, or they can be both. If the right profile shows, they can be both franchisees and distributors in the overall market. So having said that, just a second, no problem. So having said that, we in every country we find the right profile, and then we can sign an area development or a master franchise or a distribution agreement, and then we agree with our partner of a certain organization that we believe should be able to serve those kind of channels. Because we have the experience in UAE, so this is why in UAE we own all our operation. It is kind of a kitchen where we do all our experiments in launching products, flavors, testing different route to markets, different channels, and whatever is working, we make it as a model, and then we export it, our ways of working through different SOPs to the partner. So we find a partner who is willing to invest in an organization because people are very important, and this organization will be split by channel, and through him we would deploy. We are not really looking, I think, to have our own operations there. We would like to be focused on building the brand, focusing on taking it to the next level, expanding it. There is a lot that we can do around House of Pops. We did not still scratch the surface in terms of product or proposition of whatever we can offer, but one step at a time.
Fantastic. So the future, apart from the distribution, includes also the development of new line of business, of course, maintaining and respecting the brand vision of spreading happiness. In this process of product development, do you include the consumer, or you start from your intuition of your team, of course, on reading which are the market trends in terms of flavors or products?
So far we did not. Sorry, was it a question?
That's a question, definitely. We would like to understand a little bit more about the product development idea of House of Pops, where you start from, if you can share it.
So Marcella, my partner, is the one handling the product development.
Okay.
So she is the queen of ice cream in our company. But the way we develop, actually, we look at trends, we look at things that are happening, and we always try to bring it in a healthy way. If I'll give you an example, there was a lot of hype about the blue ice cream. And the kids go, they want to have the blue ice cream, whatever. And then, you say, how can we have something attractive? Then we found that you can use blue spirulina, which is a superfood, very expensive, but a superfood, comes from the algae, from the water, from the sea. And then there is one version which is gives a blue color, which is also cheap, it's rich in iron. So we said, okay, great. So then we have a flavor which is very attractive to the kids, and because the kids, they shop by colors. They don't want mango, they don't want strawberry, they don't want lime, they want the red, the blue, the orange. So this is how we look at what the trends are happening, but we are always committed to the brand value. You might see other, you don't consider competitor, but other formats. I would say, yes, we are healthy, whatever, but then come and look at the portfolio. You see that, you might have maybe a couple of ice cream that are healthy, but you are using terrible things in other things. So we are very sharp in that perspective. We can talk about it, maybe about the competition, but mainly about developing the new products. We count on our understanding of the market. We do some research, but still we are not in a phase where we do consumer tests, whatever we used to do in Unilever, like Qual or Swamps and all this methodology. We are not at that level. Hopefully one day, but so far I think there is a lot of low-hanging fruit that do not need really to go that extra mile. And the way we produce things, in one day, we are very fast. In 2 days, 3 days, we can come up with a flavor, we put it in the shop, and then we test it live. We don't need to go and spend $40,000 to get an idea of a concept that would turn into reality. Maybe one day, once we start turning over billions, we might consider.
Fantastic. That's part of the magic, of course, of the brand that you've been able to build. And all the credit to you and your partner, Marcella, co-founder Marcella, in developing a brand that is totally local, but with a global appeal. And so let's give now the credit to your team. How many people belong now to House of Pops and are part of directly?
So currently we have around 65 people working in House of Top. Between different departments. Most of them are in the shop, what we call them our brand ambassadors. In the head office also, we have people in marketing, we have people by channel for different channels. We have an entire team in the factory. So overall, we are 65 people working. And we are recruiting, by the way. If you have some good talent who wants to join, send me the CV. We are looking for all the great talents in the market.
They will be more than happy to eat lollies every day. I would do it, of course.
That would be really cool.
Mazen, it's been a pleasure. We arrived into the conclusion of this episode of the Propeller podcast. It was a pleasure to come to meet you, and of course to knowing all the grind that there is behind the final brand that you see, of course, and the touch point. And I would like to say that your brand really is able to respect the brand value that you define. You can see also when you consumer, of course, and how happy from the adult to the kid, when they're eating your lollies. So thanks a lot again. If it's possible,
it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot. If you can share the credential just of the social media and website of House of Pops to the audience.
Yeah, sure. So you can find it at www.houseofpops.ae for the website, and the handle for Instagram and for Facebook is houseofpops.ae. So you can follow us there.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Mazen. I would like to say to the audience, thanks a lot for listening to us today. Subscribe to the Propeller channel for more episodes. Supporting us, of course. You will find these episodes in all major podcast channels as Spotify, Google, and Apple. Mazen, thanks again. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank
I wish you
you
a beautiful day.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.